Hi there, and welcome. It's Psychic Cynthia here, Spiritual Psychic Cynthia Kim, and welcome to today's video relating to the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction that is happening today. And I just wanted to log on for a few moments to share some thoughts about this. And when I say it's happening today, I mean it's exact today on the date that I'm filming this, which is June 29th, 2020. But, you know, when these conjunctions with these, slower moving planets, I mean, Jupiter moves faster than Pluto, but it's still, it moves slower than, say, Mercury. So when these conjunctions happen, and they're exact, they've actually been building up for a period of time before. And in this case, I mean, it depends on what orbs, what distances you want to use, but certainly this has been in effect, strongly, intensely for at least the last week. So if you've been feeling, I would even say the whole month of June, really. And now we're going to continue to have some after effect as we move into July. So do keep that in mind. And, this Jupiter is looked at as a very blessed planet, a very beneficial energy. It's expansive. But expansive isn't always blessed. It isn't always helpful. And what we have here, with Jupiter, we have it contacting Pluto, a very intense energy. Pluto is, a very powerful. I mean, it is the planetary body of power. And it is related to transformation and also just cleaning out and purging, and a lot of the shadow stuff comes up. And, this combination of Jupiter and Pluto will be bringing that up for us. It will expand the shadow energies so that we can see these in ourselves. And, it's a tough time right now because it's in the sign of Capricorn. And, what a lot of people, I think, who aren't as familiar with astrology don't understand about Capricorn is that, and Saturn as well, because that's the ruler of Capricorn. Now, Saturn is not directly involved in this transit today, but, because of Capricorn, there is sort of a Saturn flavor to it, let's just say. And Capricorn and Saturn, these are about spiritual and psychological and emotional maturity. So what is happening here is, we're all being called in some way to look at the parts of ourselves that aren't very evolved, okay, that aren't, very mature, and to work on those, to address those. And those parts will be coming up. So don't be at all surprised if, you don't find yourself, coming up against your, just the less than mature parts of yourself, that inner child part, the unhealed inner child, okay, that can be activated and expanded by this. And, that's not always helpful for our relationships, for example. And that combination of Jupiter and Pluto, no matter what the sign is, okay. But the other thing about Capricorn is, and I'm a Capricorn sun, so I do understand this energy very well. It's a hard sun position too, so having had to work with the energy my whole life, I know both the ups and the downs. There's a lot of downs, actually. So, one thing about Capricorn, if it's not coming from an evolved place, then it is very dogmatic or very black and white. And that's actually true of Pluto too, just that energy of Pluto by itself. So, there may be a tendency to see things in black and white, to think what is better for everyone else in the world. Okay. And trust me, you don't, I don't, and you don't. Each person has to have their own path and find their own path because everybody has their own karma. And let me share something with you that I learned many, many years ago. It's taken me some time, and I have to keep relearning it, okay? So when I say I learned it, well, I did learn it, but then I forget, and then there's that lesson again. So, and the lesson is this, that if you, keep sticking your nose in other people's business, or if I keep sticking my nose, like if I'm going around telling other people in my life, what they should be doing, like, if I'm telling my friends on social media, well, you have to be doing this. If you're not doing this, you're not wise, or you're a bad person, or, oh my gosh, you have to do this, or go to that school, or do this. I don't know. It could be any situation. It could be anything. But anytime you think you know the answers for other people in your life, and you're so adamant about it, and you're pushing that on them, what that means, okay, listen up here. That means that you're meddling in their karma, and you're taking that on. Instead of, and get this, instead of dealing with your own karma. So that's why it doesn't feel good. Have you ever noticed, like, here, I'm going to post this video online. So here on social media, have you ever noticed that if you kind of get in it with somebody about their opinion about something, and you argue with them on there, and, do you ever leave that feeling good? Really? No, you feel terrible afterwards. I mean, you might still feel righteous about it, your position, and you might feel justified, and you might feel that you had to speak up, and so on. But does it make you happy? I mean, or does it make you feel drained? Okay, and I don't know. Maybe it makes you feel happy, and if it does, certainly, if doing this makes you feel at peace and serene, then do it. But my guess is that probably, carrying somebody else's karma, or trying to, you really can't, but you get in there and you start mixing your energies with their karma by telling them how to live their life. And then you're taking that on as part of your karma. And that's not something that is wise to do. I'm not going to tell you that you can't do it, because that might be your karma. Maybe that's your karma to do it. I'm just saying it's not very wise. It doesn't produce peace, usually, or serenity, or, that inner poise, equilibrium, happiness, health, those things that I believe many of us want. Those things, or we wish to have lives rich in peace, or at least joy. And trying to run other people's lives doesn't do that. Trying to force your opinions on them doesn't do that. Putting pictures of yourself up, or showing them to friends about how great you are and how great they aren't if they're not doing that thing. Don't make other people feel small to make yourself feel big. That's what I want to caution you with this transit, because I could see where Jupiter, this, it is the big planet, right? And then contacting Pluto, which is much smaller, but it's very powerful. It's a smoldering energy. So coming together, you might be tempted to express yourself in your life in such a way that you come across as, being very hurtful to the people in your life, or very demeaning, or judgmental, or self-righteous. And, that can be a big mess on social media, and I don't recommend that. But even more importantly, that could be very tragic in your personal life. That could have consequences that you do not want. So in your personal relationships. So consider the value of other people before you come across as a pompous ass. That's all I'm saying. Don't be pompous. And I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that we all, with this transit, this part of ourselves could be magnified, because Jupiter can be a religious zealot about things, and Pluto, especially in Capricorn, is kind of a dominator. Like plutocrat. You heard that word, plutocrat? You get it? So, where are you being a plutocrat in your life? Who are you trying to restrict? And it doesn't mean you're wrong, like in what you think other people should do, or maybe you're coming from a place of caring. Maybe you are. Maybe you really want to help. But the ends do not justify the means. No. I know that there's some people who will say it is, but no, I don't think they do. Myself, at least. For me, again, you have to decide for yourself, but I will tell you this: if you take on that idea of the ends justifying the means, what that leads to is more karma. Do you want more karma? Do you want more baggage? Do you want more crap to deal with? Do you want more messes to clean up? Well, then a great way to get that is to tell other people how they should live their lives, and to do that very forcefully, and to get into the people in your life, get into their karma and tell them they're wrong for how they want to live their path. Let them live their path, okay? Because if you get in there and try to live it for them, then you can't live your path. And you can tell when you're doing that because you don't feel good. And stuff starts falling apart in your life, right? It just all falls to hell, okay? So keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the spiritual prize. Keep your third eye on the prize, that third eye. And, then there can be blessings with this. Then the higher vibration of Jupiter conjunct Pluto is that this can expand our own inner principles. This can expand your knowledge of what is hidden. It can open that third eye. It can help you to have more self-control. Self-control. We all could use more of that, actually. And the sign Capricorn is related to that as well. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. One of the things as a Capricorn that I learned early on in life, this isn't something I read in a book, okay? It's an experience. I learned that when we have greater self-discipline and self-control, and we monitor our own lives instead of getting involved in other people's lives so much, remember? But so when we take care of our families, our jobs, our gardens, our houses, we clean our house and, keep up with their bills and all of that. When we manage that, in other words, when we are self-disciplined and self-contained and self-controlled, to a reasonable degree, not overly so, but to a reasonable degree, then we will have more freedom in life. But those people in life, and when we don't have self-control, when we are not self-disciplined, when we are not self-contained and self-focused, in other words, when we are not tending to our own gardens, when we are not nurturing our families, when we are spending time telling other people how they should live, instead of fixing up our lives and maintaining those and cleaning our houses, literally and spiritually, then we will lose power. We will lose control, and the powers that be will come down on us because they have to, right? If you don't control you, somebody else will. That's what I'm saying. And that is a very powerful spiritual lesson. If you can take that in and meditate on it, that could open up doors of freedom and abundance and healing for you on many, many levels. So whatever the issue is, if it's your health, look at where you're needing some more self-control and self-discipline. For example, if it's your state of peace, where are you allowing your mind to go into areas that do not bring you peace? I mean, I've heard from many people, and I know I've experienced it some myself, but many people are like, oh, I'm so depressed right now or overwhelmed, and just every time I turn on social media or every time I look at this one person, they've got another judgmental or negative post. And I'm like, hey, you know what? You don't have to read that. Control yourself. You can't control them. You can't stop what the other person's going to post, or you can't stop how they're going to live their life. I mean, you can try to, but again, that's going to make you miserable. So you want to have fantastic happiness and, that radiant light shining forth from you. Then this is the key, to have that self-control, that inner control. And really a lot of it is to control your thoughts. When I think about Jupiter in Capricorn, conjuncting Pluto in Capricorn, I think about the thought structure and the thoughts we allow ourselves to have. And, so basically, whatever is happening right now is being sped up. I mean, in your mind. What I mean by that is, okay, this Jupiter-Pluto conjunction, is speeding up the manifestation of our thoughts. Now, I mean, just if you think something once and, it's just passing and it's, there's no emotion in it, then probably that's not going to manifest. But if you find yourself thinking about it a lot and really putting a lot of emotion behind it, that will manifest faster right now. So that can be used for good, right? I mean, that can be used for joy and health and abundance. And, I don't know. I mean, I think you could think about, what do you want to think about right now? What do you want to be putting more of your energy into right now? Knowing that because of this celestial alignment with Jupiter and Pluto, knowing that your thoughts are more powerful to manifest right now than usual, knowing that everything is being sped up and the energy, of your inner self and what you're thinking and believing is going to have more manifestation ability. What do you want to dwell on in your innermost consciousness? I know for me, I've been tuning in a lot more lately and turning inward to receive from the Ascended Masters and the guides. And that's what I want to focus on. And that brings me great peace. And it brings me guidance, just instant. It's without even, knowing that it's coming, and just, I'm in the flow when I focus on that. For example, you can focus on other things. I mean, if finances are an issue, and heck, we probably all should be focusing a little on that with what's happening with the COVID economic fallout. You could, focus on seeing yourself abundant and maybe seeing some of those expenses taken care of, or if you're trying to manifest a vacation or home repairs or, college education, or I don't know, whatever it is you're trying to manifest, I would encourage you to focus on that and the joy of that, rather than letting yourself get, embroiled in, really pointless debates, or, taken down into mental rabbit holes you don't want to go down into. Places that don't make you feel good, or, don't bring you peace. I mean, or at least don't bring you wisdom. It's got to bring you something good, right? To be worth your time. So think about how you're spending your time. Think about that. Think about how you're spending your mind time, your consciousness. What are you paying attention to? What you give your attention to grows. So what are you growing? What are you nurturing? What are you expanding with your energy, your thoughts, and your attention? What are you nurturing? And does it nurture you, dear one? Food for thought. Until next time, I'm wishing you all the love in the world. And I'm Psychic Cynthia with the guides who have been with us today. Sending you bright, bright blessings.